Hello dear reader and cybernaut. On this occasion, we will know the main differences between credit and debit. Both terms are similar, and although people do not know it, we all use credit and debit. Financially speaking, it is important to know the differences between the two, since the misuse of any of them causes people to become indebted and have financial problems. Next, we will describe 11 differences between credit and debit. And stay until the end of the video, since we will answer the question, which one is better, credit or debit? According to our criteria. Some people get confused about the difference between credit and debit, and this should be because credit and debit cards are accepted in many places. Both treat convenience and eliminate the need to bring cash, they even look the same. The main distinction between debit and credit card is based on the fact that debit cards are always related to the balance that the client has in his bank account, while the credit account allows to operate with money provided by some financial institution. Meaning of the credit. The credit or credit agreement is a monetary operation in which an individual or the creditor grants a loan for a specific amount of cash to another person, the debtor. The latter, the debtor, undertakes to return the requested amount, in addition to the payment of accrued interest, insurance coverage and associated costs, if applicable, within the time or term defined in accordance with the conditions established for the established loan. Meaning of the debit. The debit is a record that serves to validate that the payment or option of a responsibility or arrangement of a service or product has been made. Receipts are written files that may be public, although most of the time they are personal, in which the lender or creditors of an obligation specifically acknowledge having received cash or otherwise from the debtor or solvents. It requires the expression of the date, the signature of the recipient, the reference of the amount or classification of the important things, and the title of the responsibility, so that it is not confused with the credit or loan. Credit and debit cards. Many debit and credit cards have similar characteristics. Typically, both cards carry the logo of one of the major credit card companies, such as Visa or MasterCard, and both can be transferred to retailers to purchase goods and services. Speaking in accounting terms, since these two are being used at the same time, it is important to understand where each one is in the ledger. Keep in mind that most business accounting software keeps the account plan flowing in the background and, in general, looks at the ledger. The debits increase the balance of dividends, expenses, assets and losses. The accounting must record the debits to the left in the ledger column. Loans increase the balance of earnings, income, passive income and stockholders' equity. The credits are recorded to the right. Before continuing, we want to ask you to subscribe to the channel and activate the notifications so that we can receive our information from the great world of finance and personal development. We continue. Difference number 1. Where does the money come from? Debit cards extract money directly from your checking account when you make the purchase. They do so by withholding the purchase amount. A credit card is a card that allows you to borrow money against a line of credit, also known as the credit limit of the card, for which you are billed at a later date. Difference number 2. Interest payment. With a debit card, you will not pay interest for your purchases. With most credit card companies, a customer has 30 days to pay before interest is charged on the outstanding balance. Although in some cases, interest begins to accrue immediately and can be notoriously high. It is one of the main ways in which credit card companies earn money. Payment on time and in full will help to avoid interest and final rates and maintain or even improve your credit score. Difference number 3. How is the payment? Through a debit card, the merchant sends the transaction to his bank and is transferred to the merchant's account. Depending on the amount of the purchase and your bank, the money will leave your account immediately or be held by the bank for 24 hours or more. The withholding may fall before the transaction is completed. You use the credit card to perform basic transactions, which are then reflected in your invoice. The bank pays the merchant and then you pay the bank when you receive your bill. Difference number 4. Credit history. Your credit history will not be affected by the expense of the debit card. It is worth noting that through credit card you will be charged interest for your purchases. To avoid paying interest, do not transfer a balance from month to month. That is, get used to paying on time. Credit cards have high interest rates. Paying before the payment deadline and your payment history can affect your credit history. Difference number 5. Additional expense. Debit cards make it more difficult to spend too much, since it is limited only to the amount available in your checking account. Unless a checking account comes with an overdraft, debit card users can only spend the money available in their account. With a credit card, you run the risk of spending beyond your means. Difference number 6, differences in accounting. Debits and credits are used to control incoming and outgoing money in your business account. In a simple system, a debit is money that goes out of the account, while a credit is money that goes in. However, most companies use a double-entry system for accounting. This can create some confusion for inexperienced business owners, who see the same funds used as credit in one area, but as debit in the other. Difference number 7, money that goes out and money that goes in. Debit accounts are money that goes out of the account, increase the balance of dividends, expenses, assets, and losses. Credits are money that goes into the account, increase the balance of earnings, passive income, and stockholders' equity, as long as it is investment-oriented. Difference number 8, what is the limit? A debit card can come with an overdraft line of credit connected to a customer's checking account to cover excessive spending. A credit card has a specific amount of connected credit, and if a consumer tries to spend beyond the credit limit, the card will be denied. Depending on the solvency of its owner, a credit card may have a high or a lower spending limit. The bank decides your credit limit based on your credit history. When you use a credit card, the purchase amount is automatically added to your outstanding balance. Difference number 9, help in an emergency. Credit cards can help you cover it in an emergency, giving you a month to get the cash before the bill expires. This could be useful if you have to pay for something big before you can cash a payment. Depending on the credit for emergency expenses, it generates expensive interest if you cannot pay the full amount before the due date. A better solution is to have an emergency fund. For people who try to budget or not extend too financially, a debit card linked to a checking account may be a better option than a credit card. Some debit cards are prepaid, and a financial institution charges the funds on the card. These cards can be used in the same way as a standard-issued debt bank card. However, prepaid cards are just that, prepaid, and are not linked to a person's checking account. Difference number 10, debt instruments. By definition, all credit cards are debt instruments. Every time someone uses a credit card for a transaction, the cardholder is only borrowing money from a company, because the credit card user is still required to pay the credit card company. Debit cards, on the other hand, are not debt instruments because every time someone uses a debit card to make a payment, that person is really just logging into their bank account. With the exception of the costs of related differences, the debit user does not owe money to any outside party, the purchase was made with their own funds available. Difference number 11, bonding. A standard debit card is linked to a checking account, a prepaid debit card is not. A credit card is linked to a line of credit offered by the company that issued the card. Number 12, protection against fraud. More than a difference, this is a common feature between debit and credit. Identity theft and fraud are risks that you should avoid if you choose debit or credit. That's why it's important to know what protections are included with your card. If your credit or debit card information has been compromised, contact your bank immediately. Most banks have a 24-hour hotline that you can call. The earlier you call, the better. You will not be responsible for fraudulent charges made with some cash machine or debit card after your card has been lost or stolen. If someone uses their credit or debit card before the report is lost or stolen, their responsibility varies depending on how quickly they report it. After reporting the missing card, follow up with a written statement by letter or email. Carefully analyze your account for charges you have not made and report it to the bank. Check your credit report to make sure your identity has not been stolen. If your credit card was compromised, you can even freeze your credit to help protect against future fraud. Choice of the best card for you. Which is better, credit or debit? When trying to determine whether to use a credit card or a debit card, you must be honest with yourself and with your ability to handle the credit. If you have cost problems, it is better to use your debit card whenever possible, to avoid falling under a financial obligation of the credit card. The reality that your credit limit is $2,000 does not indicate that you can pay that type of expense in your monthly budget. Choosing the best card to use also depends on the purchase. Using a debit card can be a less headache. However, this system only works in your favor if you pay the full balance on time each month. Debit cards provide exactly the same convenience as credit without requiring you to get money or pay interest or charges for your purchases. Choosing debit is exceptional to manage your money and help you live your way. Caution: if you discover a balance, you can save on benefits, however, you will end up paying as much or more in interest. Tip: if you are trying to increase your credit capacity, choose your credit card periodically. Making charges and paying your bill on time will produce a record of responsible and solvent behavior, which is reported to the credit banks and then reflected in your credit report. You should read your credit card disclosure information carefully to understand the benefits. The appropriate ease of your account plan in the accounting software and the thorough observation of which account a debit or credit comes from allows the program to use debits and credits correctly. Which is better? Having described the above, we consider that there are two situations for the response of which card is the best credit card or debit card. The answer to this question is accompanied by the answer to another question: is the expense for an investment? Is the expense for an investment? If the answer to this question is yes, then the use of the credit card is not a bad idea and its use is recommended. Provided that you have made the calculations and estimate regarding the risks of your investment and which should be within your possibilities. Although every investment brings benefits even if you lose, since you have the experience and you already know how not to do things. If the answer to the question is no, then it is not recommended to use the credit card. In case the expense is going to be for personal or similar purchases, it is definitely recommended to use the debit. We ask that you support our channel, your valuable subscription, and that you can activate the notifications so that you receive information on personal development, finances, and investments. Share the information and help us. Click on like, share and comment below. Which one is considered best? The credit card or the debit card? Congratulations for getting here and thanks for your support of the channel.